Hello, YouTube, whenever you see this.
Hey,
All
YouTube.
right. Hello, YouTube. All right, here we go. Recording and good. Welcome to the show, listeners. Welcome back. It's good to have you. It's been a minute for us between power outages and vacations and such. It's actually been a while since, and just seeing each other. It's been a while since we've been able to record a show. But listeners, I hope you are doing well. I hope you've been able to soak in all of the wild college football action we've seen over the last couple of weeks. We're of course talking about that today. Major League Baseball playoffs, that's underway. The NHL starts officially. Well, it kind of did start officially, but really every team gets started this week. That's all coming up. But first, Josh, what's up, man? How's your week?
It's been great. Hold on. I have to clear this notification on my laptop because I just got the notification. Hey, YouTube wants to let you know that Fifth and Goal Sports is
Oh.
recording live. So that's a good
Oh.
reminder for you guys.
Yeah.
You should join us live. And then don't be like me. Keep your notifications on as I mute mine.
Yes.
I had a great weekend. You know those guys who like peaked in high school?
Tell
I'm
me
thinking
it's
like
not
Uncle
us.
Rico.
Tell me that does not include us.
I think I got the closest that I would have ever gotten when I went back to my 5-year reunion, back up to college, back up to my 5-year reunion for my college. I went up with Aaron and a few of our friends, and we lived it up like we owned the place, even though so many buildings got built right after we left.
Yeah.
My side of campus was fine.
Hmm.
My side of campus pretty much stayed the same. Y'all got a fancy new building that wasn't cramped and windowless and frankly soulless. You have a beautiful new business building. So many random free enterprise quotes on the walls. So many corporate sponsors who donated. It was
Yep.
such a treat. An auditorium with a free piano in it.
Yeah. Yep.
It was
That's all
beautiful.
true. That's all true. Well, it was good to see you. Again, after going like basically a year without seeing you in person, now it's like 2 times in 3 weeks. We're spoiled over
Already
here.
sick of you.
We're
Yeah.
spoiled over here.
Oh, sorry. Spoil. That's what I meant to spoil.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
meant to say that.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, editing Aaron,
Yeah,
take out that.
yeah,
That
right.
was a. I thought it was the.
Sorry, we let our
So it's
actual
fine.
emotions
It's
take over
fine.
for a second. Whoops.
Sorry. Back to show
Whoops.
mode.
Yeah,
I will
that's
say,
right.
and I will say, we'll get into this. We were planning on like, oh yeah, we can make homecoming work, and we're just gonna dedicate our whole Saturday because we thought this was the apple picking Saturday.
Hmm.
And then we get a bunch of notifications. All of our ESPN apps got blowing us up as we're like leaving these very important events that we paid money for. And I did go, well, this is the life I chose today.
That's right. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes it happens. I will say, we did get home in time to basically just sit there for 2 hours and watch upset after upset after upset
Oh,
happen,
absolutely.
and that was
Truly.
glorious. That was great.
We watched enough of the other upsets. Exactly.
Yeah, yep. We missed a little bit of Vanderbilt, Alabama, but not anything that can't be solved with watching the entire game on replay multiple times out of sheer joy.
And making multiple accounts on Twitter just so I can see every single Vandy tweet.
Correct. Johnny, you were hanging out in North Carolina this week. A little vacation. Did you now? You avoided all of the weather. It sounds like, which is good for you guys. Oh, you may be frozen.
Oh. Man. Wow, wise. That's a really astute saying. Johnny, I could not have imagined a more astute observation coming from anyone but you there. That's just incredible.
Hell, brother. I'm in sports hell. I never thought I would
Oh, wow.
utter these words. Vandy
Stoic, man.
is my daddy.
He came back a changed man.
Where is this? Is this coming from you, Josh?
My daddy.
Oh, yeah, that's on me.
Oh, okay. I was like, I just heard the what is that legend from Alabama?
Pisses me off, Coach DeBoer.
Oh, wait, I'm not playing anything.
Oh, am I hearing this? Is it coming?
Am
from,
I?
Oh, just kidding.
I'm not. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, I was
Sorry,
gonna say, like,
sorry, YouTube.
I
That
thought
was
you-
coming from my own computer. It sounded, because it was on the phone. It sounded like. Okay, hang on. Technical difficulties here. Hang on.
Turning on. Do
One
not
of these.
disturb
Nope, it's
on
not
this
that one.
laptop. So I can turn it on here.
YouTube, this is what you
There.
get when we don't stream for like 4 weeks. All right, there should be, in theory, a way for me to just have Josh and I, but that is the wrong screen. So, give me a minute.
Don't worry, folks.
We're
We're
professionals.
gonna take a look.
You
We're
can
gonna
you
look
can
behind
tell.
the curtain here. We're gonna peel back the kimono, so to speak, and just show you all the fun
Yeah,
that goes into.
this is what happens when Discord crashes for one person. All right, let me.
This is why we need at least one corporate sponsor, because with one
Correct.
corporate sponsor money, so tell your friends.
Yep.
I had the great pleasure of meeting a fellow fan at Cedarville. We need just like 3 more of you. I'm going to turn this into a PBS pledge drive.
Yeah, do it.
We don't have totes. We do have mugs and shirts.
That's true.
And maybe totes if you want totes.
Yeah, I'll make them.
I'll design a whole suite of chess heads themed merch.
I've thought about that. 100% thought about
Could
that.
be. That could be fun.
All right, this is the jankest setup in the history of setups, but at least you can see both of us now.
Look at that.
That's progress. And then we'll do this. And we'll do, oh boy, let's see. We'll do this.
I'm gonna make
there
sure
we go.
clipping Josh. Oh, clipping Josh is back. Hold on. Clipping. Okay. I just won't put you down a little bit. Ah. Okay, that's perfect. Keep all of this in. None of this is getting edited.
Yeah, correct. Well, it's not on YouTube. If you're here on YouTube watching, this is the benefit is that you get just raw us, like, and we get to hang out like before and after the show. The downside is this. All right, he did say to continue on, so it looked like his internet was kind of bad. So let me see if he's back. If not, then we can get into the show here.
Oh yes.
All right, I'll keep rolling. Then when he comes, we can bring him in.
Perfect.
All right, Johnny is here. We think his Discord internet is not behaving today, so we'll see if he makes it on today. I think so. If not, I can fill you in. He was in North Carolina this week, soaking up all of the sun, probably because unlike Josh and I, he does not instantly burn when he steps outside. So good for Johnny. Josh, going back to what we were talking about all these upsets, wild Saturday. Now,
insane
confession to make. You made the confession that we were out doing things with friends. That was a lot of fun. It did mean that it precluded us from watching some of these games. It also precluded us from having the energy to stay up until 2:30 a.m. Eastern time to watch the end of Miami, California. And for that, we are deeply sorry and we apologize to our fans. But even that was almost a ridiculous upset. So you had, I believe it was 5 teams in the top 11 go down on Saturday. And it just goes to show, we talked about this, it goes to show that there is no such thing and has never been such thing as a bad week of college football. That has never existed. And it's beautiful.
It's so good. And we've already had one of these, at least when we were talking about this, 1 or 2 of these already this season, where it's like, okay, this may not be the most exciting game or the game that we picked to be, that most everyone picks to be chalk, was an insane game. And so this is why college football is just so much more beautiful, because then we're not even getting into like Temple, North Carolina, the Brotherly Shove 6, whatever the new designation of that is now.
Yep.
Like it is. Or, I mean, Boise State, I'm just blanking on his name.
Yeah, Ashton Genty.
Yes, who cannot do poorly enough to not get pulled after the first half of all of his games. He would be he already is, but he would be a runaway, LOL, Heisman winner if he was allowed to hit, all 4 quarters. But
yeah, well,
this is the beauty of the sport.
It really is. And I'm glad you brought him up because Boise State is now, because of some of these upsets, they're now well into the top 25. Their lone loss coming against Oregon. Oregon needed a game-winning field goal to beat the Broncos. So that's an interesting story. He is actually, right now, the odds favorite to win the Heisman. And it's because he has 1,000 yards in 16 quarters. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. So I hope it keeps going. I think the Mountain West is good enough for him to have enough of the spotlight for him to potentially actually win this thing. Because again, we're heading into week 6 or 7 this week.
Yeah.
Let me just give you a rundown of who Boise State plays real quick, and then we'll actually dive into some of the upsets and some of the games upcoming. But I did want to spend some time on a group of 5 teams, and you brought up Boise State, and I think that's the perfect one to talk about right now. They go to Hawaii, folks. We have a Hawaii test, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, CBS Sports Network. Boise State heads to Hawaii. If you pass the test, tag Sicko's committee, let them know. They'll be and us. We'll be very proud of you. Then on Friday, October 25th, Boise State travels to UNLV, who lost in a very controversial way on Friday. Very bad officiating from my perspective. UNLV, that's their only loss of the season, was on Friday. And I don't know if UNLV has a bye, but either way, that's got a potential to be, if not a top 25 matchup, as close to it as you're going to get in the Sun Belt. So back-to-back road games for Boise State coming up. Then home against San Diego State, home against Nevada, at San Jose State, at Wyoming, and then home against Oregon State on Friday, November 29th. So ironically, that I was about to say that game doesn't matter because it's not a conference game. That's not true, because it does matter for Boise State because they do have to be the best group of 5 champion to get in. There is a world in which Boise State runs the table and they just throttle every team like they've done outside of Oregon, and Genty has 200 yards a game. There is a world in which the ACC champion goes 9-3, 10-3, and all of a sudden we're having a conversation about, oh boy, should Boise State have a first round bye? So that's an interesting thing. We're looking way too far in the future. It's a fun conversation. I'm also not trying to be the guy that's just looking, ooh, playoff. Like, okay, no. I'm not trying to be that guy. It's an interesting conversation. In a month, we'll have that conversation.
You should know of any podcast, this podcast is not going to go super gung-ho, super early on playoff predictions.
Yeah.
One of the 3, I won't name who, totally even forgot to make a bracket. So that's how dedicated. I didn't forget. I'm protesting the system. You hear that, Mark?
He's not even there, but still.
He's not even there.
Mark. Yeah.
I'm assuming he didn't even, and I'm assuming he doesn't even have a hand in this. I don't care. Just need to call him out.
I mean, he does a little bit. Like, without him, yes. We're
Here's
short
the
answer, yes. We're still in the playoff, if not for him, but I'm going to blame him anyways.
It's kind of his MO.
Yeah. Just some other games to highlight, some upsets if you missed it. If, like us, you were busy doing other things, not following college football. Let me just run you through some upsets. Alabama, Vanderbilt. Oh my. Vanderbilt beats Alabama 40-35. Alabama's defense was outclassed, not just at the end, the entire game. I don't believe Alabama held a lead in this game. That's a big upset. SEC wasn't done yet. Tennessee goes to Arkansas, and Tennessee scores 14 points. What happened to this offense? What happened to this team that was onside kicking up 30-0 in the first quarter? Well, the reason is because they weren't playing Kent State, obviously, but very interesting there. And we weren't done. Missouri, Texas A&M. Texas A&M
now only has a pretty okay early season loss.
Yep.
Are they, dare I say, good?
I mean,
Real?
Maybe.
You're now looking at if they both, again, we'll talk about Texas in a second. We're talking about if they both run the tables. We're looking at a 1-loss SEC team against an undefeated SEC team, the only currently undefeated SEC team. Welcome to the SEC, Texas.
Yep.
More like welcome to Texas, or sorry, welcome to the SEC. Or hold on, I was gonna make a joke. It's more like welcome to Texas, SEC.
Oh, there you go. Got him.
Play an air horn there, please.
I can on Discord.
Oh yeah, here, hold on. I have my own air horn.
Yeah. This is for YouTube.
Soundboard. Great. This is fantastic.
Yeah, podcast people just imagine an air horn.
I'm just getting editing, Aaron. I'm running this through my DAW. I could probably just clip in an air horn sound.
We got to figure that out. That's season 3. Peek behind the curtain, listeners. Season 3.
Oh, man.
We're trying to add sound effects. I'm actually serious about that.
Yes.
We're trying to make that a thing.
Every good self-respecting podcast does have all 3 of their hosts with very, very different, very, very vast soundboards. It's fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. Season 3 us. Look forward to it.
Season 3, more unlistenable than ever.
Yes. On that note, Texas A&M, 41. I mean, you're right, Josh.
We're looking at a. I mean, we're already having a top 5 matchup with Ohio State, Oregon. SEC could have their own version, which was not on any other than A&M guys, other than Aggies. It was on nobody reals, no real persons like cards, which is a very fun conversation to have.
And if you think we're crazy, if you're like, oh, Texas A&M, they're surely going to drop a game before they play Texas at home, mind you, at Kyle Field. Here's their schedule. At Mississippi State. Short of and that's actually, they have a bye week now, which might be perfect. Short of just a colossal collapse, Mississippi State is not good. LSU at home. Okay, sure. At South Carolina, New Mexico State, at Auburn, Texas. There is an obvious path to 10-1. Josh, are you ready to lay down in a bathtub and have your kidneys removed to sell them to go to this game? Because that's what it basically takes to get in the door at Kyle Field.
I have alumni friends, so I will ask.
You'll keep your kidneys.
Them.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
That's good. Well, and even they are going to have to pay. Right now, I'm seeing the cheapest tickets, $584. The cheapest tickets right now. So that place is going to be absolutely nuts. And look, we make fun of Texas A&M regularly on this show. They deserve it. However, I am kind of rooting for a 10-1 Texas A&M team to play possibly an undefeated Texas team. Now, mind you, Texas has some roadblocks between now and then.
Specifically Oklahoma in a few days.
Yep. And then Vanderbilt, Josh. And then Vanderbilt.
All right. They have a juggernaut of a Fortnite coming up.
Yes, they do. Oh, wow. Josh pulling out Fortnite. Not
Juggernaut of a Fortnite, new band's name. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I'm writing that down. That's great. Yes. So I'm rooting for that.
It's the most insufferable like jazz rock band you've ever heard. Every song is 18 minutes, and they are truly, truly hard to listen to.
Which is worse, that band or us?
So I don't feel like we put on airs. Juggernaut of a Fortnite puts on so many airs.
True.
Like they are so elitist. It is. They don't play in 4/4 because they don't subscribe to like the man's idea of music.
Yeah.
Everything is either in 13/16 or 9/8 plus 7 32s. 30 seconds.
Or it's all relative, so everyone just picks their own key and tempo.
It's free. It's all free time, and it's just the worst.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is this week. I think I covered all the upsets. Did I miss anything? USC lost to Minnesota. Michigan lost to Washington. Obviously, we had some action in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and those. Lincoln Riley has pretty much the same record as his predecessor. So great job on the hire guys.
Yeah.
I hope he's enjoying his stupid brisket. And Michigan, we weren't surprised. We figured they would drop at least 1 or 2 more. This isn't necessarily an indication that Washington is fully back, but at the very least, the struggles of Michigan, this was expected. Expect maybe 1 more, not counting Ohio State. So regroup, figure out how to draw offenses and defenses like from scratch, not from your playbooks of your enemies. And
I mean, it's funny.
And they're also, in all fairness, they're all in QB3. Like,
yes,
this has not been a good year. This would have been, even with the current defensive scheme they had last year, it would be a struggle to move the ball downfield if they had all of their returning defensive guys. They wouldn't be quite Iowa lopsided, but they would be struggling. They may already have at least 1 loss out of the 2.
Yeah, it's funny with Michigan. I think our projection at the beginning of the season was literally 8-4. And that's absolutely where they're heading. But because of the way it looks, it feels so much worse, and it feels so much more jarring but they're
Yeah.
probably still 8-4. I mean, now they are a team where they are going to probably be in a dogfight in every single game, like you mentioned.
Oh
Quarterback
yeah.
3, they have not found the solution there. Jack Tuttle is currently their quarterback. Last we saw him, um,
Hmm.
I don't know what they're going to do moving forward, but there's no immediate answer at quarterback. I think that's pretty clear. I still think they're probably trending towards 8-4, which is just kind of funny. USC losing to Minnesota. I mean, yeah, you said it. This is kind
Man.
of my criticisms of Lincoln Riley being realized
Yeah.
again. We kind of yelled at him for the Michigan loss, the way they didn't bother to adjust until the second half against said Michigan team. That loss is looking worse and worse for USC.
Hmm.
Here's one thing to note, and I think this is going to be universally applied across college football with all these bizarre conferences, with Josh being in ACC territory with SMU, which we'll talk about them. But also California and Stanford. There's some flights happening, and they're long.
Yeah.
Or if you are an equipment manager, we salute you. And specifically Penn State, who is heading to USC 31 hours by bus, we salute you. That adds up. And we have seen that teams, and this is a Big Ten stat specifically,
Yeah.
teams that have traveled 2 or more time zones are 1-6 in the Big Ten. Now, UCLA throws kind of a funky twist into this stat because they're actually just bad. So they mix it up a little bit, but I think this stat is just real. You're going to see more and more of these kind of upsets. We haven't totally seen it yet in the ACC. I think we will. But the Big Ten, especially, it's super interesting. USC traveled all the way to Minnesota, lost. Michigan traveled all the way over to Washington, lost, in a national championship rematch. So just something to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, especially as Ohio State goes to Oregon
Well,
in a few days.
yeah, you're not wrong. Not
So
wrong about that.
hopefully it's 2-7.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, let me get this back up. What did I do here? Oh. Okay. There we go. All right, Johnny, we're pretty much wrapped up with the recap of upset week.
Yeah, I figured.
But we'll pull you in here. All right, Johnny has made it. The internet has cooperated for now. Fingers and toes crossed. Johnny, we just finished talking through all the upsets. We talked a little bit about just Big Ten travel, the fact that teams traveling multiple time zones are not doing very well. Was there any and I know there's a lot of takeaways from this week. Was there any one particular takeaway with all the upsets, with all the craziness, with everything that really stuck out to you? Or is it just kind of the recurring theme of it's college football and anything can happen?
Well, I would say the last few years we've had clear elite teams at the top, and I would argue this year we don't have them.
Yep.
I think you could still probably argue Ohio State and Texas. However, Texas, their best win is on the road against Michigan. That does not look like what it did a month ago.
Not aging well. Yeah.
Ohio State does get to travel to Oregon this weekend, so that will be a very real. Like Ohio State season started Saturday against Iowa.
Yeah.
With this 4-game stretch playing Oregon, they have Nebraska and Penn State, so that's the real, meat of their schedule. But I would argue none of the teams are impervious to the type of losses that happened this weekend, including Texas and Ohio State. They just haven't gotten into the meat of their conference schedules yet and haven't had a real opportunity to even lose a game, which is, honestly, that makes it more fun of a season for everyone when you don't have this juggernaut of a team like we've had with Alabama and Georgia in the past, and even Ohio State and Clemson. It is a more interesting season. And while I would be shocked if we had a Saturday like we just had again, it's certainly not going to be the last of those type of upsets. Far too early in the season.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, like the Ole Miss one 2 weeks ago was not remotely a shocker. Like maybe it's a shocker who they lost to, but we said before the season, we didn't really buy them.
Yeah.
We just thought their schedule was crap. So we're like, that always flips on its head a little bit, though. There's always teams at the beginning of the year that were like, oh man, they have such an easy path. All of a sudden, 2 random teams pop up and are decent in their schedule. like that'll happen as we go throughout the year, of course. So like Missouri was total fraud. I mean, really,
Yikes.
I thought that was one of the easiest bets of the week. I mean, A&M was favored actually in the game, only by like 1.5 points, I think, but that seemed easy because they just played so poorly. And I think there was too much taken away from last year from Missouri, fortunately winning very close games and then beating an Ohio State team that really, hey, if the SEC can say it, so can the Buckeyes. Didn't want to be there. Didn't really care. No, like third string quarterbacks still barely beat them.
Yeah.
You know, so I think just that there's no juggernaut this year. Everybody's super beatable. And then, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but Boise State, you know.
Yeah, Josh and I talked
yeah.
about. Well, that's actually how Josh and I started the show. Was Boise State.
Then
which
we
is
don't have
fun.
to get into that again. We don't have to get into that again. Then.
Yeah.
But like, and I know it was just Utah State, but more of a how the season's gone for them so far. And they have really, I'd say, like 1-2 serious tests during the regular season. Again, what I just said previous to that, you can't take any team for granted. But the path is clear for them, not only to get, and I saw projections today, maybe you guys talked about this too, like they could beat out the Big 12.
Oh,
champ
yeah. Or
for the
ACC.
bye.
Depends. Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Like, and remember, it's not a guarantee that the Big 4 conferences get those buys. It's the 4 top conference champions. So, like, they very well, the way the Big 12, especially, I say, just because Clemson and Miami, I feel like would be hard for Boise
That's
to
true.
top
Yeah.
unless those two fall apart. But right now, I'd almost be surprised if the Big 12 champ doesn't have 2 losses. And with Boise State's 1 loss being on the road to Oregon and very, very close and controversial, and if Genty stays on his path, I could very easily see with Boise State's name recognition and track record that, fair or unfair, vaults them to the 4 spot.
Yep.
Which I think actually would be incredible. I think it would make everything like more interesting.
Yep.
I'm cheering for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a proponent of the 12-team playoff. To this point, what I've seen, I'm not like falling in love with it. Especially this week. Like this week was so much fun. It kind of would have been more fun if there was only 4 teams getting in because you'd have such sheer panic. But
it would be more fun because the stakes would have been real.
Alabama would basically be eliminated.
Yeah.
Like they would nearly be eliminated. Like they'd be not totally, but if they lost one more game, there wouldn't even be a question. So,
and you know what? I do kind of miss that. I'm also not trying to be the person that watches all of these glorious upsets unfold, and I sit there with my arms crossed and my frown, and I'm like, well, this would have been so much better if the 4-team play. Like, I'm also not trying to be that guy. I just appreciate these upsets for what they are. Appreciate college football for what it is, regardless of what postseason format we have. That all being said, the lack of what we think is elite teams could mean that this is a actually great year for a 12-team playoff to happen. Because unlike the vast majority of years in the past, maybe seeds 5 through 8 actually do have a chance to make it to a title game. That remains to be seen. We're in early October. Again, I'm not trying to get into this deep philosophical playoff discussion when October 12th is here, because that, at the beginning of the year, every college football fan had this week scheduled. Now, ironically, next week could be better, but for right now, October 12th is going to be pretty good. Let me just give you a quick rundown of what we've got cooking in week 12. Most importantly, Missouri heads to UMass, 12 p.m. ESPN2. So that's your noon game you should watch for sure. Or, South Carolina, Alabama, big hate watch.
Is that
over
where
there.
Fox is going for Big Noon?
Fox is actually making a wise decision and going to BYU, undefeated BYU, taking on I think a decent Arizona team. So that's actually one to watch as well.
Why are they making a normal choice?
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to see them at UMass.
Yes, game day. What have you done? By the way, since we're talking about it,
let's
rare
talk about
ESPNW for going to Cal. They could have gone to any number of kind of random SEC schools. They could have done anything. Heck, they could have gone to Ohio State for, I mean, they've done something silly like that in the past, go to Ohio State for Ohio State, Iowa. They didn't. They went to Cal. And I know Cal lost, and controversially, I might add, Cal showed out like crazy. It's who would have thought, or as our good friend Josh Pate would say, whomst have thunk it, that California would wake up at midnight, skip classes, and basically protest, but for fun. They killed it. Shout out to Cal. Shout out to ESPN for going there. All right, this is
fantastic environment.
Yes.
The most chaotic in a good way.
Yep.
Game, except for the ends. Ignore the targeting, like a billion illegal men downfield, ineligible receivers.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's fine. Miami, I just have one thing to say to you. The ball doesn't lie. We will find out who you really are soon enough.
It'll catch up to them eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I think the Virginia Tech call was correct,
teams,
but you're right. One of these is going to catch up to them.
Yeah.
So
technically, they're one of the few teams that has broken that losing streak of teams traveling 2 or more
true
time zones.
That's a good point. That's a good point. All right, so back on track. Sorry, this is a very distracted podcast, but that's what you get with me in general and just the three of us. So the big one probably at 3:30 that everyone's highlighting, it is Texas and Oklahoma playing in the only correct neutral site game in college football.
Amen.
Why is it at 3:30 though?
Yeah.
That way it's super hot, and then I'm super miserable when I'm there walking around the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, we've got
I look really sad. I put on like a lot of like dirty makeup and like look like an urchin, like a little street urchin, and then they say, "Oh, look at this poor 28-year-old man."
Yeah, let's get him a ticket.
Who's clearly put on like stage makeup. Let's give him a ticket.
Yeah.
Here's a box seat.
Yeah. This is obviously a great game just because it's Texas, Oklahoma. But as we mentioned, the very next game Texas plays is home against Georgia. Then they go at Vanderbilt. We'll talk. I mean, October is a lot of fun.
I'd say one of the hardest SEC venues right now.
Yeah. The construction zone at Vanderbilt.
Zone.
Then they finish Florida,
Alabama
Arkansas.
Is so used to having things finished before they play in it. They're just not used to having a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Then they finish with Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and that game at Texas A&M. For this game, though, look, Oklahoma doesn't entirely know what they're doing at quarterback. That's still, I mean, I think that they know what they're doing. It's a question of whether their quarterback position is good enough to beat Texas. My gut says no. I just think that the answer is no. And again, am I using the transitive property here? Absolutely, I am. But Tennessee steamrolled Oklahoma at Oklahoma, and then they have not looked very good since.
They should have lost to Auburn.
Oklahoma has also not looked very good since. So I do think Texas probably wins by double digits. I am well aware that this is coming off the heels of one of the greatest weeks in college football. So who knows? Nobody does. But my thoughts are Texas wins by double digits. Any arguments against or for that prediction?
Texas will kill them. This is a bad Oklahoma team. Like the defense is fine, but the offense, Aaron, you mentioned the quarterback, but even when we talked about it 2 weeks ago, it's the whole offense. It's the whole offense. Like, and I don't know if that doesn't mean that they don't have talent on offense. That doesn't mean the offensive line's just awful or they have no talent at wide receivers or running back. They're not calling the game properly from a coaching perspective either. So I have zero trust for them. I'm sure they'll give it a go. I'm sure the defense will actually hold Texas in check maybe till halftime, but Texas is going to throttle them. I'm most interested in this game really of just watching like how healthy is Quinn Ewers. He's expected to start right now. I want to see how healthy he is. I hope that he plays well, partially because he's got a raw deal ever since he's been at Texas with Arch behind him, and he's a great quarterback. So I hope he just plays well so they can put all those guys to bed.
Yeah, we'll see. Josh, you'll be our man reporting from the I would say the sidelines. That wouldn't be entirely accurate. From the fair, that would be accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the grounds.
Yeah. There you go. Our man on the grounds.
Man on the grounds.
That could be a band name. I might have to add that to the list too. Man on the grounds.
I like that.
I'm adding that too. We're making a lot of progress over here. A lot of things are happening. Man
Juggernaut Juggernaut of a fortnight.
I mean, you can't beat that.
That's
It's
solid.
not touching that. But well, okay, we obviously have Ohio State, Oregon. That one's pertinent to, well, college football in general, but also the three of us. Johnny, you said it. I mean, Ohio State's season really started on Saturday. A little bit of slow going in the first half, but they ended up really beating Iowa pretty badly. They covered, which I kind of expected them to. Jeremiah Smith continues to amaze week by week. I just don't fully know what to expect out of Oregon. I've watched just about every single snap that Oregon has played this year. It looks like a different team every week. I just don't know what to expect. Oregon's last game, they're playing Michigan State in Oregon. And it was a blowout for the most part. But there's things like Dylan Gabriel throwing 2 inexplicable interceptions in the end zone. You can't do that against Ohio State and win. You can do it against Michigan State and blow the doors off of Michigan State because they don't have it's just not a team ready to win yet. I watched them just throttle Oregon State, just beat them down, and a decent Oregon State team. I lost them struggle against Idaho. I don't know what to make of this team. It's an ever-evolving team week by week. I think they're going to play one of their best games because this game has been highlighted for so long, because game day is going there, because this will be one of the best environments in college football this year. I do expect Oregon to play, at least defensively. I expect them to play with their hair on fire. Offensively, I'm very curious to see what Oregon does offensively against Ohio State's defense. Because if you look at Dylan, maybe you're not watching Oregon, maybe you're just looking at the stats after the game and you see Dylan Gabriel with several, a bunch of throws, a decently high completion percentage, and you probably think, okay, so this is kind of an offense that hums along. And there's been times this year where that's been the case. But Oregon loves throwing the little short screens. They love the short passes and let their playmakers just do the work. Ohio State on defense, that's what they're trying to get teams to do. They're fine playing base defense up front and using really, really good corners and Caleb Downs at safety and Denzel Burke and playing in front and just flying around the field and making tackles. So I'm not trying to say that Oregon's playing right into their hands, but I'm very curious, can the Ducks actually take the top off of this offense? Off of this defense? I don't know if they can. And because of that, with the 2 running backs that Ohio State has, and I'm not even saying this as a Buckeye homer, which I am, I do think Ohio State finds a way to win this. Probably close, probably at the end. Maybe Will Howard throws a pick. Maybe Dylan Gabriel throws a pick. I think it's going to be close the entire way. I think Ohio State sneaks out of Eugene with a victory.
What's the biggest weakness of Oregon that I have seen consistently throughout all the games? Aaron, what you said is absolutely accurate. They've been wildly inconsistent. They're ranked 3rd in the country partially just because of the chaos of last year.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I actually don't think many people think Oregon's the 3rd best team in the country. They've just found a way to not lose so far. Their biggest inconsistency, though, and I think has really been the cause of a lot of strife, is the lack of good, solid play at offensive line and therefore in the run game. Against Idaho, I believe Dylan Gabriel threw it 49 times. There's no way that they ever wanted that to be the case in that game. So really, I think the game's going to partially be determined on that matchup. Ohio State's defensive line really should be able to dominate and make Oregon's offensive line pay. And if Dylan Gabriel has to sit back there and throw it 50 times, he will turn the ball over. He will be in trouble. And Ohio State will let him complete the 2-yard screen passes that won't go anywhere because Ohio State's not Michigan State. And those passes after the catch don't go for 40 yards. They'll go for 3. And so I think it's a very low scoring game, actually. I think Oregon's defense also plays well. I think 23 points in this game could be enough for one of these teams to win. I don't expect some shootout. It could turn into that with the weapons these teams possess, but I also actually really respect Oregon's defense. And but they're going to, you saw what Genty did against this team running wise. And while I think he is the best running back in the country, Ohio State's right there with their 2 guys. So I think there is more potential for Ohio State to pop one off with their elite playmakers, which I think are second to none in the country, than Oregon. popping off a couple of broken coverages for a touchdown. That's just my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
A turnover will decide this game. I mean, really, like 23-17 is probably what I'd predict.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I would be very curious if the quarterback with the most rushing yards ends up being the team that wins. That might be just a random prediction I'll throw out there. The team with the quarterback with the most rushing yards wins this game. I don't know if I even fully believe it. It just sounds like a fun thing to say, so I'm throwing it out there. Yeah, so that's that game. Penn State USC. We're not done in the Big Ten. Yes, these are Big Ten games. We lament with you on that. Interesting note, we talked about travel, and I want to throw this out there, not because I think Penn State's going to lose. I don't think they will. But Penn State is going to fly to LA on Thursday for its game against USC on Saturday. But they have to first drive a bus to Harrisburg because apparently the State College Airport is not big enough, apparently, to get a big enough jet that will take the team to LA from State College. So it's stuff like this that, like, probably the average fan is not thinking about, wow, how many hours did it take Penn State to travel to USC? Is it the biggest deal in the world? No. But when college football is as chaotic as it is, I just think it's a fascinating thing to watch as this first season of wild conferences kind of unfolds. I do think Penn State wins. USC, I just don't trust the Lincoln Riley team. I don't know if I ever will, and I know I'm saying that about a guy that's made the college football playoff. But I got to see it, especially at USC. I got to see it. It's not happening. That loss against Minnesota, even though they were traveling a long ways, that was ugly. That was ugly. And Penn State's got a better defense than Minnesota, I would think, even though they've had some interesting results so far. So I do like USC to win. I'm trying to find what time that game is, but that is at, who knows? Is that Big Noon? Oh, it's 3:30. That one's also 3:30. That's the CBS game for the Big Ten. Big Noon is Washington, Iowa, I guess. Gross.
Hopefully at noon. What are they? Come on, guys. No one wants to see that. Hey, I don't know where to place this little thing.
Okay.
I don't know where to put it. I'm just going to put it here. So I was rewatching some Ryan Williams highlights from the Georgia game. And thank you, at Barry on here from Twitter. Ryan Williams was born February 9th, 2007. The last time that LeBron scored under 10 points in a regular season game was January 5th, 2007.
Oh, my gosh.
That stat cannot fit nicely into any one segment we have, but it needs to be said. I don't know what this means. It's like seeing the correlation between like murders and like ice cream sales. Like these aren't connected, but there's something here.
Yeah, there is something there. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good stat right there. That's great. And now we're watching him play on the court at the same time as his son. Even if it's preseason, that's wild.
Close enough. That's all I needed.
Yep. Yeah, we're good. NBA season 2024 to 2025. Check.
Good job.
We did it.
everyone.
We did it, everyone. I'll throw in as well, because we've criticized them, again, rightfully so. Colorado has a chance to make a statement. They host Kansas State. It's 10:15 p.m. Eastern time. Since that very poor showing against Nebraska, Colorado is quiet. Well, should I say quietly? I don't know if I should say quietly. I'm going to say quietly. They're quietly 4-1. Now, the teams that they've beat are not exactly inspiring confidence. We're talking about an FCS school, Colorado State, a bad Baylor team, a UCF team that's falling apart with transfers leaving right now. I don't know exactly what's happening in Orlando. Either way, it's 3 straight wins for Colorado. They had a bye week to prep for Kansas State. Then they go to the road and face Arizona. They still have games against Utah, against Cincinnati. I guess I'll throw them on this list too, because inexplicably, well, they lost to Texas Tech. Anyways, doesn't matter. The point is, Colorado is actually, I said a couple weeks ago, Colorado is playing like a 4-8 team because they are a 4-8 team. Well, that's no longer the case if they win just one game the rest of the year, and I think they're going to win more than one. I think they are actually looking at bowl eligibility, and all of a sudden, not because of talk, but because of the results they're putting on the field, Colorado is actually making a bit of a splash. A reminder that the Big 12 is so wide open, and again, I'm not saying this because I think Colorado's winning the conference, but Colorado's one loss is against Nebraska, not in their conference. So the door is so wide open for Colorado. They get Kansas State at home if they take advantage, which to this point in Deion's career, they have not in the big game. But if they take advantage, Colorado's a genuine, not a fake top 25 team like they were last year, a genuine top 25 team. It's something to watch as we move along. We also get, again, Hawaii, Boise State, Hawaii test. Good luck, everyone who's trying to stay away from that. By the way, Ole Miss, LSU, very interesting game there. A couple of one-loss SEC teams. That's taking place at 7:30 on ABC, so that's something to watch. I'll throw in Florida at Tennessee as a game to watch, too. That's 7 o'clock. Despite the early death certificate that we gave to Florida, their losses are to Miami and Texas A&M. And their wins are, again, not that impressive, but their losses are against Miami and Texas A&M. Okay, like,
Not bad.
sure, I kind of understand that. Now they're at Tennessee, home against Kentucky, home against Georgia, at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. They're probably still on the wrong side of bowl eligibility with that schedule, but we're not there yet. They're 3-2 right now, so that's one to watch as well. I'll throw that out there. A lot of good games. Hope you get a chance to enjoy it. Guys, anything else from this week that you're looking forward to outside of maybe the big name teams? I'm just looking forward to more Service Academy football. That's what I'm throwing in. Anything else?
I'm ready for them to be ranked.
Yeah. Rank Navy, rank Army. Yep. All right. It is picks of the week. By last week, I mean whenever we recorded this show last, which has been longer than a week. But Alabama holds off Georgia, one of the best games of the college football season so far. Who was bold enough to predict that Alabama would hold serve at home and beat Georgia? That would be the one and only Josh Ratliff. So, Josh, while Johnny may be too far ahead for anyone to catch, Josh, you're at least gaining points and making me look like an idiot. So
I'll take a solid seconds.
Yeah, our current scoreboard reads Johnny with 14, Josh with 9, myself with less than 9, 7. So if you're new to this show, we make picks every week. If you get the pick right, you get a point. The winner gets a random prize. 2 weeks ago, I'm happy to report that Johnny did get his season 1 footlong cookie. The Panda Express burrito, which is not yet actually real, we may have to make it ourselves, is up for grabs in season 2. Johnny's basically already claimed it, but we may rig the rules at the end where the last pick is worth like 20 points. We'll see. This week we're picking some hockey because the NHL actually started this weekend. There was a couple of random games being played between the Buffalo Sabres and the New Jersey Devils in Prague, in Czechia. But for everyone else, the season kicks off really on Tuesday. There's a triple header that gets the season underway. There's a couple of really good games, one of them being Boston and Florida, the Stanley Cup champions, the Panthers. But we're not picking that one. We're picking one of the worst teams in the NHL last year, going up against and on the road against a team that did not exist last year, that being the Utah Hockey Club, or as Josh has accurately written in our show notes, the Utah Onyx, which we think is this is the podcast promoted nickname for Utah. I'm going to say that Utah actually takes home the victory. They're going to have the big fan base there in Utah. I think even though about half the seats have blocked vision of one of the goals, this may be one of the worst setup arenas in sports for this. That we'll learn more about that. I'm gonna say Utah wins this. I actually think there's a world in which Utah gets into the playoffs in their first year as a franchise. We saw that with Seattle most recently a couple years ago. Chicago does have Connor Bedard. Chicago is still very bad. So I'm picking Utah to win on opening night. Josh?
I'm going with Utah because I won it. And that's all I need.
Yeah.
I just
vibes.
I'm not picking Utah Hockey Club. I know that it's a temporary name. I know they're going to announce it. I'm picking what the name should be, which was not on their list of patents they filed. Or trademarks. I'm picking the Utah Onyx because when we did it as a goof, it actually ended up being better than anything they paid a consulting firm to do.
Yes.
Give me the Blackhawks. I never would have picked the Coyotes in any betting situation ever.
Mm.
They're both awful, but give me the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Well, technically
Well-
speaking, obviously the Coyotes are dead. Technically, this is a new franchise. So perhaps they have removed the curse of being the Coyotes. Probably
They
not.
didn't Art Mundell this. This is a brand new,
Mhm.
a brand new thing.
Yeah.
That
now,
version of the Browns wasn't cursed like this version of the Browns, though.
it's
This
bad.
version of the Browns only it feels like they just are begging to be cursed.
Mhm.
They don't need to. It's unnecessary.
Don't beg.
Self-sabotaging.
Yeah, I may just talk about that what we're following because it's bad. I do have the list of I think the top 6 names that will eventually be chosen for this Utah team. Now, one of them is the Utah Hockey Club. That is the option that could be moving forward. I think we would all unanimously boo that decision.
UHC.
Even though
UHC.
we would also, on the same side of the coin, or the different side, whatever, would also say if Washington just turned into the football team, for whatever reason, we would think that would be great and we would applaud thunderously. But if Utah
I
picks
would
the
like-
hockey club, we hate it. I don't know why.
I think it's because it felt very unironic when the now Commanders did it,
Hmm.
and it was just like they changed their name way too late in the like cycle of naming for them to know what to do, and they're like, "Crap, football team, let's go," and like we love that. Hockey club feels, it just feels like some venture capitalist kid just came up with it, and like it just feels fake. I want the chaos that came from the panic of football team.
Yeah. And we have always promised to be arbitrary and capricious, so we'll be that on this topic as well. Here's the other options: the Utah Blizzard, Utah Hockey Club, or UHC, Utah Mammoth, not Mammoths, which makes me wonder, is the plural of mammoth? We'll have to figure that out. The Utah Outlaws,
Probably.
the Utah Venom, and Utah Yeti. I do love Utah Yeti.
Oh.
That's pretty good. Now, I'm wondering, there was a second phase of voting, but it was closed a few months ago. And I don't know.
Forgot to make a bunch of bot accounts.
I know, because Utah Yeti goes crazy. But now the
Utah
question
Yeti-
is the plural of mammoth mammoths or mammi?
Pretty
It's
sure.
mammi. The plural of mammoth
Mammi?
is mammi.
Yeah. Google's AI thinks that the plural of mammoth is mammoths. I'm going to rate this as unhelpful so that Google stops throwing it in my feed. Straight to jail, Google, for making me see this first. Report a problem. You suck. Sorry, I'm writing that.
Oh.
Submit. Thanks for your feedback. Cool. Anyway, we're back.
If they do choose the Utah Mammoth, I will be calling them the Utah Mammi, and no one can stop me. No one can stop me. So,
Mammoth? No.
yeah, goose, geese, mammoth, mammoth. That works too. We'll each have a different plural name of mammoth to call them.
Mammoth? Is it like fathers-in-law?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Please pick that Utah. That would make me feel so happy. All right, I think we got everyone's picks. So it's time for what we're following. I'll be honest, I don't even know what I'm following. I don't have anything written
I know what
down.
I'm following.
Oh, well,
I got you guys.
Perfect, Josh. You go ahead.
Welcome to Food O'Clock. It is Texas State Fair time. Guys, it opens 2 weeks ago. It opens right after our last episode, but not like in the intervening time since we've recorded the podcast. Also, Fat Bear Week. There's so many
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Fat Bear Week.
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
night of voting is tonight
Okay.
as of the time of recording. So sorry. By the time you're listening to this, it's too late.
But you could also watch us on YouTube Live. So
You-
solution.
If you watch this on YouTube Live, voting goes for another like hour or two. Now, okay, got Fat Bear Week. Welcome to Chess Heads. Thank you for visiting Chess Heads. Now we're in Texas food. Texas State Fair. I have the winners of the food things. There's a whole bunch of new like Texas. That State Fair. I'm sorry, it's just like the Ohio State University. It is the State Fair of Texas. they're very particular about that. There are so many new food items being launched for us. Let's see here. Um, we got like normal things like deep fried tablitas, short ribs. That sounds really good. Or we have cookie butter nachos.
Ooh.
Those sounds delicious. But then we also have things like the crookie. The crookie is a croissant cookie. How? I don't know. We have Dickles Triple Meat Big Spack. Sorry, I'm going to try that again. Dickles Triple Meat Big Back Snack. Dickles Triple Meat Big Back Snack. I don't know where the emphasis is supposed to be. Dickles Triple is Abuela's cherished elote street corn, including a smoked chopped brisket, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, then a buttermilk biscuit crowned with tender cubes of Hoxilla pork belly burnt ends, and then coated in a house-made sauce. And then a savory loaded nacho beef brisket sausage link is halved and adorns the cup's interior, accompanied by a heavenly deep-fried crinkle-cut maple waffle flavored potato slice on top. This is going to kill everybody who tries it. I'm getting 7 of them. Now, those are the ones that didn't win anything. I'm going to tell you about the winners of the Big Food Festival. Guys, we got cotton candy bacon on a stick.
I'm sorry. I blacked out. What?
Yeah, exactly. Cotton candy bacon on a stick.
Okay.
A thick 12-inch piece of bacon cooked to perfection, which is a false statement because they're going to add things to it. If you cook to perfection, that's good enough. Cotton candy glaze on top. The bacon itself is then spun inside a cotton candy machine and then torched to caramelize the center and lock in the sweet flavor.
Wow.
We have the Dominican fritura dog. I believe I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I apologize. It's a type of like deep fried cheese from what I saw. Little cheese ball and Dominican salami, double deep fried. So imagine a hot dog deep fried and go, this is still, I can still see nutrients. You dip it back in. It's then topped with garlic plantain chips, Dominican sauce, top secret Dominican sauce, sorry, cilantro. That looks really good. I will tell you, and this is the one, it didn't win. It was a finalist. I don't know what to think about this. I'm going to tell you what it is, and then we're just going to sit in it and just kind of dwell in the reality that this exists and people have and will continue to purchase this item and eat it. In the sweets category, we have Texas Sugar Rush pickles. Are you worried? You should be. These cotton candy flavored pickle slices are coated in 3 cereal varieties: Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, and Cap'n Crunch. If we cannot say those, then it is fortuitous trinkets, citrus circles, and Captain Morgan. And then layered.
Captain Morgan. That's a different kind of treat.
No, it's a different guy. It's
This
not
is
him.
brother. It's Captain Morgan's brother, who also happened to be a
Private
captain.
Morgan. Sorry, Private Morgan.
Wild story.
Lieutenant Colonel Morgan. Then layered in cotton candy sugar crystals, and powdered sugar before being drizzled with strawberry sundae syrup. Remember, the core of this is a pickle. As if that wasn't enough, because it never is with you freaks. These dressed up pickles are served with a helping of vanilla ice cream, adding a perfectly cool touch to this crazy concoction. Pairs well with Carbox Ranch Water Hard Seltzer. I need 12 of those hard seltzers before I even attempt a cotton candy flavored pickle
Mhm.
covered in, what did I say, citrus circles.
Yes. Wow. Now, is there any of those options that you're going to try to get while you're there on Saturday?
There are
Are you going to
so
be
many.
brave enough to try any of those options?
They have hippie chips. These look really good. These far out wavy potato chip nachos, uh, with your choice of zesty ranch or blue cheese dressing, topped with bacon bits, green onions, and a tangy drizzle of sriracha. Those look really good. They have, uh, let's see, uh, hot chicken pancake poppers. Authentic Nashville hot chicken and pimento cheese are rolled into a ball, dunked into pancake batter, and fried to a golden brown, then topped with a drizzle of sriracha honey, uh, and a sprinkle of Nashville hot powdered sugar. That sounds right now. I know I just talked about the evil that was a cotton candy pickle. That sounds really good right now. And then I will most likely get a Texas fried burn end bomb. These bombs, can I say, how many times am I allowed to say bomb on YouTube Live before we get banned?
Well,
Probably
keep going. I'll
4.
let you know.
These bombs take a mouth-watering brisket wrapped with shredded potatoes, bacon and cheese, deep fried and topped with raspberry chipotle barbecue glaze. Oh,
Wow.
I might get those as well. So there's a few like options where I'm like, this is the quintessential. We talk about in philosophy, we talk about, I think Derrida had 3 levels of like reality. You have reality itself, then you have simulation. And simulation is and I'm sorry, we're gonna have white guys talk about philosophy. We promise no politics, but you can't get out of me talking about Derrida. You have the simulation, or you have the reality itself. You have a simulation, which is an homage to the reality. But then you have something called a simulacra. A simulacra is a simulation of something that doesn't exist. And I think that we're getting to that point where we are so far removing ourselves from reality here. I do not remember. The deep fried burn end bomb feels close enough to food that I have eaten in my lifetime. A cotton candy flavored pickle, I don't know what to do with that. They have like these Kool-Aid pickles down here, and I know that's a southern thing, so I'm not judging that. I didn't think they moved towards cotton candy, and I'm just losing my sense of, I look at it and it's like I don't know what it's doing. Like,
I mean, you
you ever see
can
those like
feel reality slipping away.
you ever see those pictures online of like, hey, this is like what it looks like to have a stroke. It's that as I'm looking at it. I just don't know. Also, and this is just a very Texas thing. One of the usually there's like a finalist drink. They have a tropical 2-step punch. It's available as an alcoholic beverage, and because of the sponsor, it pairs great with a locally sourced blonde ale. And so I do love that. Basically, listed they listed an alcoholic drink and said, you know what pairs well with this? Another beer. This is the craziest. Come down to the Texas State Fair. Sorry, the State Fair of Texas. Okay, the sniper just left the roof. We're good now. Come down and just eat one. Don't eat all of these. Please just eat one. You will die if you eat more than one. Also, I might have to try that cotton candy bacon on a stick.
Yeah.
I might just have to.
Well, if Josh does end up with it, there's a good chance it will be shown on the Fifth and Goal Instagram account. So pull up there at Fifth and Goal Sports if you're not already.
Well, I could get some fat bacon pickle fry. I'm just gonna list nothing but the crazy food things. Fried matcha. That looked holy Jesus. A slice of pizza that has 7 cheeses on it. Hot Cheetos Korean corn dog. Cheeseception. Oh, Cheeseception is 2 sandwiches actually. It's a sandwich inside a sandwich. It's a sandwich, savory mushrooms, crisp arugula, and prosciutto with melty, sweet, and smoky cheeses, all between classic grilled cheeses. It's grilled cheeses as the bread, and then in the middle is mushrooms, arugula, and prosciutto. So, I don't Texas. You guys are gonna have to cut me off because this was literally just the first page.
Yeah. Well, that's for the behind the free paywall of YouTube after the show.
Yes.
So that's where you can hear more food things.
Lay's potato chip drink. Sorry. I'm gonna keep.
You could
going.
just yell any random combination of food, and I would just have to believe that it's something the fair state of Texas is offering.
Fair state of Texas. Fair.
I would just have to believe it. I would just have to, on face value, just assume this is real. Anyways, Johnny, what are you following over there?
My time was ceded to Josh there.
A kind donation.
Waffle sticks. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I can close out with two not very exciting things that I'm following. One we kind of alluded to. Let me do this. Well, I'll just talk just real quick sports in Ohio that I'm following. If you're on YouTube, you see behind me, I've got a Joey Votto signed jersey. I've got a Reds hat somewhere over here. Big Reds fan. I've talked about it on the show before. I've tried not to talk about it this year, frankly, because I fall into a deep depressive state. And this year went so bad that I think I finally had my hopes dashed. Like, I had some hope coming into this year, right? Because the way they finished last year, I thought the Reds might actually be a playoff team, much like the Detroit Tigers are right now. Also, even just similarities in how they play. This season went so poorly that I think my brain's like, all right, enough of that. No more hope. Like, will I be a fan? Yeah. Will I go to games? Yeah. Will I have any expectation of the Cincinnati Reds moving forward? I thought the answer was just no. And then the Reds hired Terry Francona, who has guided his teams to a World Series in his two previous locations. One of them being a team in Ohio, mind you. So now we're back in this whole cycle where I think I may have hope in the Reds. Maybe not like immediately, but in the long term, if he's healthy, he's a fantastic manager, and that's a great hire by the Reds. And he knows what it takes to win a World Series. And I think he's in his 70s. He's not going to pull any punches with the front office or with ownership of telling them what's needed. So I think that's good. I actually have a little bit of hope. You know where there's not hope in Ohio? Cleveland. The Browns are horrifically terrible. It is so bad. It's so bad that the fans are wanting Deshaun Watson to have another lawsuit against him so they can cut him without the financial repercussions of cutting him. Now, there's two kind of views I have on this. Number one, Cleveland, and by that I mean the team. You guys deserve every bit of what you are getting right now. Because you knew everything about this with Deshaun. You knew. You traded for him anyways. You leveraged the entire franchise for him anyways. But my other view is for the fans, who many of them did not want Deshaun Watson. I feel very, very bad for you because I have a lot of Browns fans living in Ohio that I know, and they're going through it. And for those of you, I do feel really bad because this is a bad situation, like really, really bad. Like you're going to be bad for years, kind of bad. And for you people, I am sorry for you. The team itself, yep, you got what you deserved, in my opinion. We'll see. I don't know who their backup is even, but surely we'll know soon on that. So, anyways, that's kind of a depressing way to end the show on what was generally positive.
Funnel cake.
Thanks, Josh.
Hammy pimento meltdown.
Yep, now we're happy again. Well, listeners, we hope you enjoy this week. By the way, if you're in the Florida area or if you are in the North Carolina or surrounding areas, we're thinking of you. Please stay safe. I know there's some crazy weather that is happening, so please stay safe. And we're thinking and praying for all of you in that area. And yeah, hopefully we're hoping that it's not too bad, especially in Florida as that storm rolls in. So yeah, if you're in those areas, stay safe. And for everyone else, listeners, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Thanks for your patience as we've had a couple of weeks off. Good to be back with you again. As always, we encourage you to check out our social media pages. By the way, stay tuned this week if you're a fan of hockey. We've got a really, really good NHL resource. Well, I'm a little biased, but I'm going to call it a really good NHL resource coming to you ideally before this podcast even airs on the Spotify platforms and all that stuff. So check out our website, fifithandgoalsports.com. That's the place to be for that. All right, listeners, that wraps us up. Enjoy this week of college football. Enjoy NHL. Enjoy Major League Baseball playoffs. Whatever you got going on. I hope it's good. We'll talk to you next week.